I guess we need a microphone
Yeah, they need.
so they can hear that. Yeah. Did you want to start, Scott, or should
Yeah,
I?
I'll start. Yeah.
Okay, great.
You too. Yes.
All right, I think we'll get started, everyone. How are we doing? Is there anybody here for the first time? Oh, you guys. All right. Excellent. Welcome. How did you hear about the classes? From Charlie. Okay. All right. All right.
From the afternoon class.
Okay. Oh, excellent. So welcome. And I don't know if you saw everything in the back, the lending library, all the handouts and different things. Yeah, good. And the bathrooms are back on the left-hand side. So feel free anytime. And we're glad to have you here. And so I'm Scott Wagon. I'm a physician associate here in town for the last 20 years. And if you want to watch, if you haven't seen the introduction class, if you have, go onto the website, livelifestylemedicine.com. You can see the class archives and go back and you can see the introduction class where we kind of tell our whole story and how we got here and all that for if you're interested in that. So, but we're glad to have you. So I just wanted to, before we introduce Pam, our speaker tonight, just wanted to mention I just got back from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine conference in Dallas, Texas, just this past Wednesday night. I was there for 3.5 days. I usually go to one of those conferences every year. Usually go back and forth between the Plantrician Conference, which is always on the West Coast, and then the ACLM, American College of Lifestyle Medicine Conference. And it was ACLM's turn this year, and there was 5,000 of us there, and 62 countries represented. And as always, I get all my continuing education there. Lots of evidence-based lectures by many specialists, and kind of the things I wanted to share. I mean, it's a lot of this usual stuff. Like for me, it's kind of the usual stuff, but they're always really inspiring. But what I enjoy most at those conferences, besides the food, they feed us all 3 meals, really delicious plant-based foods, and just huge buffet of just so much delicious food and prepared by chefs and everything. So that's the highlight. But then talking to all the different people that attend, if you count between physicians, nurse practitioners, and PAs like myself, makes up about 60% of who's there. But then the rest of the people there are either dietitians, health coaches, some people with just general interest, but for the most part, people that take care of patients, clients that are at these conferences. But it's always fun to, you'll sit down and you'll be eating, and where are you from? And we have our name tags, and then I'm a physician from like India, or just so many different places all around the country and all around the world, 62 countries, like I said, and so it's really, really fun to hear the story of how they got into it. And like I've talked about in these classes, it's always usually because they had their own health problems like me, or they had a patient that got so well they had to take them off their medications, and what are you doing? And then that's kind of how they find out about it. But now more and more, it's also because there's the training programs now we're up to, instead of 300 residency programs, it's up to 450 residency programs around the country. So what that means is you come out of your medical school and you go into residency, and you get you finish your residency in either family practice or endocrinology or internal medicine, whatever specialty. But then you can also be board certified in lifestyle medicine, just like Charlie and I are, when you're finished with your residency. So that's what the residency, they have curriculum for that. So you can come out and be an endocrinologist, but you can also be then board certified in lifestyle medicine. And one of the big themes for this particular, there's always kind of a little bit of a theme at these conferences. And what they had, kind of the theme this time was advocacy, like pushing the movement forward. And what was exciting is we had a lot of leaders from all around the healthcare industry. And it used to be kind of, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, the focus of ACLM was to try to make lifestyle medicine as a recognized specialty. So just like you go and see a rheumatologist, an endocrinologist, a cardiologist, whatever you go see, you could go see a lifestyle medicine specialist. But now we're thinking bigger than that now, because we've already kind of gotten to that spot, but we want lifestyle medicine to be embedded in every specialty, everywhere in medicine, to be the foundation of healthcare throughout the country, throughout the world, actually. And so, because I think where we shifted that focus is because we're realizing that there are lifestyle medicine providers already embedded in all of the specialties. And so when you see all the people that talk at the conferences, it's people that work pediatric cardiology and rheumatology and endocrinology. Every specialty is essentially represented now. And so, and the current president of the American Medical Association, so the AMA is in charge of all the hospitals, essentially all the physicians, really, large organization. The current president is actually currently board certified in lifestyle medicine, and the heads of Medicare and some of these big healthcare organizations were there, and they're familiar with this, and they know this is the way it's going. I saw a lecture on the VA, because they're unlike a private insurance where they're more, because they're trying to cut costs, right? And so they're a good model for lifestyle medicine. So they have a whole initiative going right now for whole person care through the VA. And I saw a lecture on that, and lifestyle medicine fits right in. And so it's a lot of promising things going to that conference. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you guys today before that. So, all right. Well, I'll go ahead and let Pam. And the reason for the new people, this microphone is not for in here, it's for the people on Zoom, because we have people online attending as well. So don't be freaked out by, well, I don't really hear your voice echoing on a speaker, but as long as you talk loud like I do, you'll be fine. All right. So here's Pam Birrell. I'll let you introduce yourself.
And that's me up there with Romeo, who is the world's tallest steer. He's in the Guinness Book of Records. And I'm hugging him, and then he's hugging me. I work at a farm sanctuary, so I'll be showing some more pictures of the farm sanctuary as we go through it. Next slide, Ed.
1 second.
I don't know what comes next.
There.
There, yeah. Next one. Okay, this is the farm sanctuary where I work. It's Welcome Home. It's a vegan sanctuary for farmed animals. It's something I did after I retired, and I'll be saying more about that. Okay, next one. So I've given 2 or 3 other lectures, and I want to make sure I'm not giving the same lecture every time. Now, there's some basic material that will be repeated. So I asked Scott to change the title. And let me tell you, Scott's a genius at coming up with titles. So I have this big area: lifestyle factors and mental health. And tonight I'm talking about 3 of the pillars of lifestyle medicine: stress, sleep, and connection. Next one, Ed. Okay, so this is me and Buster at the farm sanctuary.
Can you tell who you are?
What?
Besides that you're retired.
Yes, now I'm going to tell about me. Yes.
Okay.
I am, let's see, where do I start? I am a PhD psychologist. I taught at the university for about 40 years. I also had a private practice. I work primarily with people who'd been traumatized. So my special is trauma psychology. And I am 79. When I was 68, I retired from the university. People kept asking me when I was going to retire, and I said, I don't know, when it's not fun anymore. So it got to be not fun when I was 68. And I went on to my private practice for another 10 years. So I retired from that a couple of years ago. And my plant-based journey isn't as exciting as many others. We'll talk about, will it transform my health? Yeah, it did me good, but I'm an accidental vegan. I didn't say, oh, I'm going to go on this program to improve my health. I had been raised in the hippie era. So when I was younger, I was being vegetarian, and I had the Moosewood cookbook, and I remember their cauliflower cheese pie with a grated potato crust. I would make that all the time, but it's lots of cheese and lots of milk, lots of dairy, lots of eggs. And we dabbled in milk, in meat occasionally, maybe some chicken, but didn't eat much. And I didn't think much about it, except for I've always thought vegetarian was best. And vegan was probably better, but who does that kind of thing? And then about 16 years ago, my friend Sarah said she was going on a raw diet. And I thought that sounded absolutely nuts. Who would go on a raw diet? But she was kind of thriving on it, and she asked me to, did you want to do it? And I woke up one January, New Year's, and I was craving spinach and oranges. And I thought, okay, I'll try Sarah's raw diet. So I threw an orange and some spinach in the blender because there weren't any books back then about green smoothies. There was one book by a Russian woman. And that's all. There was Daiya vegan cheese. That was all. But I threw the orange in the blend and the spinach in the blender, and I was raw for almost a year. And at the end of that year, and during that year, I lost weight. I wasn't thinking about health benefits. I'd been healthy enough. I lost weight. I did feel really good. I had some fun playing with raw recipes. But back then, I remember I made cheesecake with practically 100% coconut oil because it was like a healthy oil, that kind of thing. But at the end of the year, I realized I'm vegan. I always wanted to be vegan. So I was just vegan. I'm the accidental vegan. And I would say the main thing for me is I'm very healthy. I mean, at age 79, I'm a yoga instructor. I walk 6 miles a day. I feel very, very healthy. So I'm happy about my health. My cholesterol numbers are fine. I never paid much attention to them. But I think the big change that I have experienced is in terms of the things I'm going to be talking about today, which is sleep. Sleep has always been kind of a superpower for me, but now it's an incredible superpower. Stress, dealing with stress, and then the importance of connection, not only social connection, but connection with ourselves and connection with spirit and something bigger than ourselves. So that's my plant-based journey, and I have not looked back for a single moment. Since then, of course, I've educated myself about especially the animals and compassion toward animals. And one of the things that really cemented me is I realized that I couldn't kill an animal. I couldn't kill a chicken. I could not do that. And it was unethical of me to pay somebody else to do that for me. And that's like, okay, I'm done. Because for me, it was the ethical and then the compassionate for the animals. I love Buster. He's a great cow, steer, I guess. I don't use the right names, and you'll see some more pictures. And also, of course, then I educated myself about the environment. So I taught many, many different kinds of psychology classes. As I say, I was a therapist, so I fell right into these 3 of the lifestyle factors. Next one, Ed. Okay. I decided I wanted to make this a little more interactive tonight. So I want you to take 2 or 3 or 4 minutes and just turn to the person next to you and answer these questions. Why are you here? What do you want to learn and what questions do you have? So talk among yourselves.
Okay.
You guys are retarded. Before. Yeah. We're telling you.
Was you?
Yeah. I was like, I have that too. Yeah.
Well, I was.
I did, yeah. Yeah, I
I know. Hey, what do you want to know? Are there any particular questions you have?
See, I like smiles. This is good. What do you want to learn? What do you want me to talk about? What was the first thing I noticed health-wise? Losing weight. I lost about 40 pounds. And it's never come back. It's like, oh, no, I'm done. Because I struggled with my weight my whole life. My whole life. I remember dieting in 3rd grade. And when I went vegan, it's like, okay, that's done. Oh, yeah. Any questions about what are you curious about anything with this topics or anything? Yeah.
Well, I've been watching a lot on YouTube
Uh-huh.
and some of the people like some of the people said that they feel happier.
Uh-huh.
So I would like to feel happier.
Yes, like to feel happier. Anybody else? Yeah, Laura.
I'd like to get better sleep.
Better sleep. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not great with that topic because I do it easily, but I've got tips. Yeah.
Can you read that?
On how to stay mentally healthy. Also looking for ways to have less anxiety and more joy on a day-to-day basis. Perfect comment. Great. You're all in the right place now.
You mentioned being able to change your diet immediately. Did you experience any like emotional triggers that were almost falling into like addictive behavior that would pull you back into doing using food in an unhealthy manner?
Really good question about do I experience triggers and want to fall back and not, I did at the beginning. And I read okay, so when I was in graduate school, I had a very crazy office mate and she was a smoker. And this was now in the early 70s. And she was really nuts. But she smoked a lot and she read, I remember this was so long ago. She read that the tobacco companies were adding more nicotine to cigarettes to make them more addictive. And it made her so mad that she quit.
Mm.
And I did the same thing about processed food. When I read Sugar, Salt, and Fat, which was maybe, 10 years ago. And I'm thinking, so they're engineering this food to make it addictive. Hell no. And so for me, again, you can tell because, the animals and all of this stuff, it's like, I was mad. I don't want to be manipulated. So it's not that I never eat that stuff, but it's interesting. I used to really love chips of any kind. And now when I eat them, it's like, yeah. So you can get past that. All right. So let's talk about how to be happy, how to have less anxiety, maybe a little less depression. That kind of thing might be nice. Okay, next one, Ed. Okay, these are the 6 pillars. And I have trouble kind of putting this together in my head. We learn a lot about nutrition in here, and I'm going to be talking about nutrition. All of these 6 pillars are important if you're trying to improve your health and be happier and have more joy and less anxiety. They all interact with each other. So we hear a lot about nutrition. We'll have a lecture on exercise. Everybody knows that exercise is good for them. We'll have a wonderful lecture that Elizabeth gives on avoiding toxic substances, which really helps. But I got stuck with the other three. And I'm going to change the bottom one. Next one, Ed. Okay, so I'm looking here at these three, and I said it's not just social connection, but if you look at how these three these circles overlap each other, what we're looking for is we want to be in the middle. We want to be able to optimize sleep. And when we're sleeping better, we make better decisions. I can guarantee you one way to get involved in late night snacking is to stay up too late, right? You start getting tired, and then you kind of stay up past that, and then you have a little bit more of a energy. That's a good time to start your late night stacking. So sleep is important. And I'll talk more about that. Controlling stress, and we can't always control the stress in our outside life, but we do have control about how we think about that stress. And that really, really determines its effect on us. And the other then is this connection. So next one. Oh, that's me and Fred. And Fred is a goat at the farm. And I had a couple of questions about the farm. These animals aren't used, they're not milked. They're not used for anything. They just come there to live out their life. And Fred is a very, very sweet goat who came to the farm with 2 broken legs. And he still walks kind of funny. And he's on pretty heavy duty anti-inflammatory drugs. But he's a very, very sweet goat. Okay, next one. Okay, so the next question then is, what is mental health? And some of the questions have already kind of answered that. But what is mental health? Feeling of well-being. It's an absence of things. It's an absence of too much anxiety, an absence of too much depression. Both of those, though, are normal. You know, there's a certain amount. My beloved cat died about 6 weeks ago, and I've been depressed, right? Just been really sad about that. And some days depressed. That's a normal part of life. There are times when, and I've worked with a number of people where depression gets worse than that and suicidal impulses come up. And so if you feel depressed that way, definitely seek professional help. But feeling down for a few days, some people just don't feel so good in the winter. Maybe you had a breakup. So we all have depression in our lives. We all have anxiety in our life. But what we're looking for in mental health is joy. I loved what the one comment was, is how can I have joy in my life? How can I have this feeling of vitality and well-being? And mental health is going to include all of those things. I want to talk about stress and trauma just a little bit because they're interrelated. I'll talk a little bit more about the amygdala in a minute, but people who've been traumatized have more difficult time with stress. Life is more stressful for them. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And any other comments or questions about any other things that you might think is mental health or mental difficulties? That is a poorly worded question. Yeah.
The healthy, like resiliency.
Resilience. Yeah, resilience, the ability to bounce back. So I'm depressed about Benjamin sometimes, but I also can be happy sometimes. And then we eventually get through these things. And so resilience is an important aspect to that. Yeah.
I think social isolation too affects people's mental health.
Oh my goodness.
Not having friendships or.
Social, and I will talk about that thing, but social connection, social interaction, too much isolation often breeds depression, loneliness.
Outlook, you just see the negative things. and
Right.
don't look at what's good in your life.
Right.
That will also.
Right. If you have a poor outlet, and that's one of the ways, I don't think it's a very effective way, but it's one way to think about when people are depressed, all they can think about is the negatives. And we can be mindful. We can learn to look at life in different ways, but sometimes it takes learning. Yeah.
And being with a loved one for most of your life, and then they pass on.
Right.
And you realize your life's completely different, and you've got to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there are those big life changes, a partner dies. And what do you do now? I had how many, there are a few other retired people in here, right? When I retired finally from everything, I had a period of feeling lost and not knowing what I was going to do with my life next until I found Welcome Home Farm Sanctuary and this group, which then gave me a little more direction with the things I was doing. Okay, yeah.
Dan Buettner said on one of those YouTubes that I watched that loneliness can shave as much as 8 years off of your life.
Loneliness can shave as much as 8 years off of your life. So yeah, and I too am a YouTube addict. I don't have trouble with junk food, but I have trouble with YouTube. Great source of information though,
Yeah.
actually, yeah. Okay, next one. Okay, so these are some basics of mental health, becoming mentally healthy, mindfulness and self-care. Okay, so what is mindfulness? It's kind of a watchword these days. Mindfulness is just having that ability to watch your thoughts. Sometimes you can believe that you are your thoughts, and sometimes you can watch them, right? So being mindful is going to that place where you sit and watch your thoughts go by. And you can be a monk meditator and sit for 6 hours a day and in silence and watch your thoughts go by, or you can take a minute. You can take 1 minute, and let's do that right now. So either close your eyes or look down, and get to a place to pay attention for a moment to your breath. Just watch the in-breath and out-breath. And notice that when you first start paying attention to your breath, it sometimes changes. That's okay. And watch the breath. And I'm going to give you some time here, and it's going to feel interminable. And just watch those thoughts. Okay. That was 2 minutes. How do you feel? You're able to do that? Are you able to get to a place? I don't know about your mind, but mine was going a little nuts up here. I could hear myself thinking, why did you say that? Or, now what, am I gonna bring this up later? Am I gonna bring, so, you know, the little brain was just going over here and I was watching it. Anybody else have an experience like that?
I felt like I could hear everybody's ringing in their ears as well as mine.
You could hear the ringing in your ears. How do you feel before and after that? I could not, I'm pretty good at sensing the energy of a room. And when you guys went quiet, the energy in the room just went. I almost didn't want to wake you up. I just felt a calmness came. Did anybody else feel that?
They're similar to Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
It's out of my head.
Mhm.
The energy's there,
Uh-huh.
but it's,
Okay, so the energy's there, but it's moving slower. He's eating the little dots a little slower. Yeah. Now, if you do that, and I do it a half hour a day, a half hour to an hour a day. But that's just what I do. You don't have to do that. Every time I see all these mouths open, you don't have to do that. And I have been on retreats where I meditated up to 6 hours a day. But you don't have to do that. It's nothing, it's not, you don't have to sit there. You just take 2 minutes. Let's say you're getting upset with your spouse, or you're feeling depressed for some reason. Go and be quiet for 2 minutes. There was a really interesting experiment done, I think at Harvard or one of the big schools, where they took students into a room and they said, we just want you to sit by yourself and be quiet for 15 minutes. And they didn't have their phones with them. Nothing in the room. And during this 15-minute period, the people that mostly these were students were told that over in the corner of the room, the only thing in the room was this button you could press that would give you would give yourself a painful shock. Okay. 74% of the students went over and shocked themselves rather than to sit quietly for 15 minutes. So as a culture, we're really losing that sense of you can just be with yourself. And take that time. And I'll talk a little bit more about breathing techniques that then can really actually slow your heart rate and really can calm yourself down. And of course, then I just did the exercise. Okay, the other one is self-care. This is primarily for the women in the room, guys too a little bit, but we're taught to take care of others, right? I think guys are too at this point. Take care of other people. There's always demands, and we're sort of built to take care of other people. And we forget the thing that we always learn when we go on a flight. We have to put on our own oxygen mask first, or we're useless. And so if you're trying to do too much for other people, it's this point of saying, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to go into my room and close the door. I need half hour, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. And just go in and do this self-care. I'll talk about that when we get more to sleep, is about self-care. But an unhealthy self-care can be, you know, I'm feeling so bad tonight. I think I better have that bowl of ice cream. Right? That's not self-care. Or maybe I'm going to oversleep or overeat, or maybe I'm going to have that glass of wine that I know I won't sleep as well, but you know, that kind of thing. So that's unhealthy self-care. So don't go to that. But healthy self-care is this, let me just do what I know is good for me, and being true and honest to oneself. Now, I do want to say a word about the inner critic. Anybody ever think to themselves, that was stupid? Oh, good, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay, there's a psychology about this. Freud called it the superego. Other people have called it other things later in psychology. We all have in us an inner critic. If we've been raised with abusive, especially emotionally abusive parents, we have pretty bad inner critics that are we're constantly thinking to ourselves, that was stupid. When we were told when we were younger, you're stupid, you'll never amount to anything, we learn to tell ourselves that. And that's normal development. We internalize the voices around us. But there's not a person that I've ever met that didn't have an inner critic. So did anybody maybe notice that during a little exercise? It's like, maybe you didn't, I did. I mean, she's right there saying, you probably shouldn't have said that, or this isn't going, I don't know what she said. I've learned to pretty much not pay attention to her. And my clients taught me many things about the inner critic. And one of them taught me a very, very interesting way of dealing with that inner voice is she named it. And she didn't like the name Joan. So her inner critic was named Joan. And so she'd come in and I'd say, well, how was Joan this week? And she would say, oh, she was really on me this week. And the more we can begin to watch that inner critic without buying into that thought, and that's going to come back with some of these other things. Are there any questions about this? I can feel this inner psychology professor coming out. Next one. What's next? Stress. Okay, next one. Okay. Chronic high stress results in inflammation of the body and the brain. And I was gonna give a whole lecture about amygdalas and HPA axis and all. I thought, these people don't want to know about that. You're not psych graduate students, right? So, but I'm just gonna mention, so you'll know that I know these big words, so you'll be impressed, right? So the amygdala is an interesting structure in the brain, which is sort of the emotional part of the brain. We have a three-part brain. We have the brainstem, which is often called the reptilian brain. And that part of our brain keeps us alive, period. That's what it does. And then we have a mammalian part of the brain, which is kind of that inner part of the brain, the hippocampus, the amygdala, regulating memory, and amygdala regulates emotion. And then we have our cerebral cortex. That's the thinking part of the brain. If you've been traumatized or if you're in high stress all the time, the amygdala starts going off and you're in fight or flight all the time. Your brain is saying to you, danger, 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 when there isn't any. And so I'm trying to think. And then the amygdala activates the adrenal glands, and you have a lot of adrenaline and cortisol going in your blood, and HPA axis. And so you're in this sort of fight or flight response to the world, rather than, I can deal with the world. And so chronic stress will result in these things. And trauma also activates the amygdala. So people who've been traumatized badly have a very overactive amygdala. And so people will constantly be saying, you're overreacting, you're overreacting. You're not overreacting. You're reacting to something that's not here. It's like, it makes sense once you know the person's whole story, that it makes sense that they're more stressed than you are right now. There's a whole field now of trauma-informed yoga, trauma-informed all of this, which just means if people are acting crazy it doesn't make sense, they probably had trauma in their life. And try to understand it, and also try to understand yourself. So if you're overreacting all the time, say to a spouse or something, take some time, listen to yourself, listen to the body, and don't let the amygdala hijack you, because that's what it's called, is amygdala hijack, where you lose your temperature or lose your temperature. Okay, it's going to be a long night. Lose your temper. Road rage is an amygdala hijack. It's like just a flash. It's a trigger. Yeah. Okay, next one. Okay, so is all stress bad? Yeah.
So, you mentioned road rage.
Yeah.
So, I'm wondering about you get behind somebody and they're annoying you and they're kind of all, and then you're like, oh, it's my neighbor. Or it's someone I know, and you completely.
It's the one that totally changes the situation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this, again, that's a really good example of like, oh my God, well, that person shut up. And then you find out it's somebody you know. It's like, oh, see how stress changes all of a sudden? About this is an external thing, but you can also change internally. You know, this person's annoying you. I have not only an inner critic, I have somebody that I call the traffic vigilante. And she knows how to drive better than anybody on the road. And so I'll get behind somebody who's going too slow or something, and I'll feel this energy come up of, you know, I'm gonna press on my horn or something. And I look at it. There's the traffic vigilante. And I will tell her to sit down on the passenger seat and just be quiet. Yeah. That's an internal way to kind of deal with it. That's a good example. Yeah. Okay, so there's two kinds of stress. And if the video works that I'm going to show in a little bit, it'll show a U-shaped curve. We need stress in our lives. For me, preparing a lecture like this and giving it is stressful. And I love it because I grow from it. I learn from it. I get to talk to people. I love to teach. I like to be up in front, you know, showing off, that kind of thing. But it's a lot of hard work preparing it. That's eustress. And if there's too much, if it's too much, then it becomes distress. And I use the example here of a violin. A violin string, if you've ever played violin or know a violinist, if your string's too loose, you're not going to get a sound out of that string. It's going to lie there loopy. But if you tighten it up just enough, you get music. And if you tighten it up more than that, it breaks or screeches. If you've ever heard a violin string strung to, you don't want to. It's a really hard sound to listen to. So we want to find that sweet spot where there is some stress. And the thing that I've talked about this a lot in my lectures here is that how you think about your stress will determine in large part whether it's eustress or distress. So if I'd been working on this lecture thinking, oh, this is horrible, this is awful, I want to be doing other things, I'm going to really mess up, nobody's going to like me. I mean, I could have gotten myself into quite a state if I wanted to. Or I could say, oh, this is interesting, and I'd rather be petting Fred out of the farm, but this is something that does bring me life, I know, in the long term. So the way you think about stress really transforms it. Next one. Okay, let's see if this shows. Make this, press on that, and we should get a video. Or not. There we go. We'll get an ad too.
Find yourself where you are. I'm not so sure about the last one, you know, but I know I do something in traffic that there's a big traffic jam and maybe there's been an accident. I'm very thankful it's not me. Or if somebody, you know, an ambulance goes by and I miss the light because that damn ambulance went by, it's like, wait a minute. And I also think, I don't know if this is true or not, but I choose to believe it. Maybe stopping at this light when I really didn't have to, you know, I wouldn't have had to stop at this light is saving me from something coming up the road. So, so any other comments?
How do you, you sound like you do a lot of stuff in your day, so how do you fit it all in and have the energy to do that?
I eat a plant-based diet.
Okay.
I have as much energy as I need. I have noticed that, you know, I mean, next June I'll be 80, so I'm getting up there, but I haven't really, like on the farm, I can't pick up 100-pound bale of straw anymore, whereas my daughter who's 49 can do that. So I notice a sort of lack in strength, but my energy is fine. And I attribute it to everybody knows this, my green smoothies. I have a smoothie every day. Today my smoothie was, don't laugh, to eat your whole thing. It was a pound of raw cauliflower, a banana, frozen banana, and frozen berries.
That sounds yummy.
And so I stick that in my Vitamix, and so I've switched. Often it's spinach. I have a mixture of spinach and kale, but I've just discovered that the cauliflower, especially if you put a little bit of lime in it, you can't taste the cauliflower at all. So I have a pound of vegetables, cruciferous vegetables every day. And it's just there. And I do move a lot. And see, all these factors tie together. If I'm feeling better, if I've had my green smoothie. Oh, I was going to say this when I got to sleep, but I can say it right now. When I got to the topic of sleep. I got away from my green smoothies recently. I was like, oh God, I've had green smoothies for years now. I think I'm just going to eat a normal vegan diet. And I started having trouble sleeping. I'm like, I don't have trouble sleeping. And so I said, okay, I went back, had a green smoothie, had a great sleep that night. So it really does affect how our energy level and how we do. So I would just say, keep moving and green smoothies.
Well, and you're interested in things.
I'm interested in things, yeah. But see, then this plays into the mental health, right? Because if you have energy, everybody here has an interest or two or three. And if you have the energy, then you start, and then you have the connection, you have somebody supporting you. I find this group really supportive. It pulls me out of myself. So yeah. So again, that ties into the connection.
So getting involved in something, a hobby or whatever, really.
Yeah, get involved in something, yeah, it calls to you, yeah, yeah. That's
When do you drink your smoothie? Do you?
I drink it all day, I drink it all morning, I make it in the very early morning and I do, and I know we haven't talked about this too much, I do a form of intermittent fasting. So I start drinking my smoothie at 8. And I usually am done eating for the day by 3. So I have my smoothie in the morning and then today I actually went out to lunch, but lunch will be beans and rice. I'm not much of a cook. I wish I were, Tamara. I love what you cook, but I don't, if I can heat up the Instant Pot and make beans and rice, I'm pretty happy. So yeah, in the morning is breakfast. Yeah. Okay.
Cauliflower, berries, and that. What was it?
What was the name?
Frozen.
Cauliflower, banana, and berries. Or blueberries, or cherries, some sort of frozen fruit, or mango. Just to make it have some sweetness to it. Yeah. That's all. And then I started putting other supplements. What do I put in it? I put in amla powder because that's supposed to be a really good antioxidant, and I put in mushroom powder.
I don't know, amla powder?
Amla, AMLA, it's Indian gooseberry. And it's supposed to be the fruit with the most antioxidants in the world or something. And you can buy, I have a big bag of amla powder that I got. Stick that in.
What was your smoothie again?
Pound of cauliflower. I get the 2-pound bags at Costco. I have a gallon size Vitamix. So I put the cauliflower in there, and then on top of it, I put a frozen banana, and I fill the blender with the berries or whatever it is. And then and my little supplement things that I play with, and then I fill the Vitamix with water to the top of the cauliflower. So I don't fill the whole Vitamix with water, so I come to the top of, just at the bottom of the berries. Turn the thing on and there it goes. And I also do it with spinach.
Yeah.
Spinach and kale or whatever.
A green.
A green of some kind, yeah. The thing that will not work for me is broccoli. I hate raw broccoli.
I'm a lot of sweet run wins out because. For me, I've never been attracted to a green smoothie because I like salads and I like things that are savory and I like that I cook a lot.
Yeah.
And I like fruits. So that's then my favorite. Who's gonna win here?
Well, you can make a savory green smoothie.
Yeah.
You could do just cauliflower, tomatoes and cucumber and a little bit of onion. Some people do that. I tried it once and it was a total disaster, but that could be because I'm a bad cook. So yeah. And actually, my experience is that the fruit wins out.
I figured there's no rules about context.
Yeah. So, and this is my little tips on this breathing. And the third one up there is it anxiety or is it excitement? Interesting fun fact that our autonomic nervous system gets revved up in anxiety and in excitement. And so actually, when you're excited because you're on a Ferris wheel or anxious because you're giving a talk, it's the same bodily response. It's the same level of activation. So how are you going to interpret that? You could interpret that as fear, or you could interpret that as excitement. Journaling is another way to bring, like in the video, bring yourself down. Write about it. I was having a terrible time. I'm just having a terrible time coming out of after my cat died until I wrote about it. And I sat down one day and I said, you're just going to write about it. And I felt better ever since then. Anybody else have anything else? Creating community? Anybody else have any other life hacks that they use for when they're feeling stressed or?
I tell myself I'm fine.
Be careful with telling yourself you're fine, because maybe you're not. How about telling yourself you'll be fine?
I say I'm fine and that'll bring me down
Okay.
and I can get on doing what I need to get done instead of sitting here stewing or stressing out. I kind of like put it on a back shelf when I tell myself I'm
I can do this. So you're saying yourself encouragement. Because you can tell yourself I'm fine. I mean, like I was told when I was a kid, you're fine. No, when I wasn't.
But I was when I got done.
Yeah, right.
But I wasn't,
It works.
I told myself.
It worked for me.
Okay, good. I'm fine. Yeah. Yeah, Jude.
Walking in nature,
What?
walking in nature.
Watching in nature, and I'll get back to that is. Yeah.
I do what I can.
What?
I do what I can and nothing else.
Do what you can and nothing else. Yeah.
Think of all things you're grateful for.
Yeah. Back to the thankful thing. That this thing about when you're 90 years old, I don't quite grok that one, but I can grok. There's a lot of good in my life right now. I can be thankful for all of these things, or I can sit here and grouse about this one.
Well, I was just thinking about that one, just I'm doing a lot of looking back at my life, like at 30s and 40s, and thinking, oh, if only, and yet I know I was just as miserable then. And so now I'm thinking like, oh, okay, maybe I can use that for now. It's like, maybe I'm not as miserable as I sometimes think I am now, because when I'm 90, I'll look back and go, oh, the only,
Yeah.
you know,
So then that one, the self-envying thing would work for you.
yeah.
Good, great. Yeah. This doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, next one. Okay, foods that help deal with stress. I was gonna do a handout because of the foods that help with stress and the sleep. They're all the same food. You don't need to write these down, you know them. Leafy greens, nuts and seeds, especially chia seeds and hemp seeds. Flax seeds, citrus fruits and berries, dark chocolate. Doesn't anybody like that dark chocolate's good for you? I'm not a chocolate person, but people seem to like that. Whole grains, fermented foods, herbal teas. Being a whole food, plant-based person, But I think one really important are those leafy greens and nuts and seeds. For the antioxidants and then for the omega-3s. And that's the doctor's thing. I won't say more about that. Okay, next one. Okay, so what's another breathing hack? And that is, that's pickles and Yabro and Tuve. And I think that's spread, I can't tell, but anyway. Another way to think about breathing, if you, this is actually an old yoga thing. And in yoga, we're taught this alternate nostril breathing. And I'm not don't need to do that, but I actually found a study that says, scientific study that showed this, that if you just close your right nostril and breathe through your left one. That's calming. But if you close this one, your left one, and breathe through the right, you'll find that a little more activating. And when you're doing the alternate breathing, you breathe in one and out the other, which then brings you back to that center spot. But it's another way, just like that box breathing. It's like, okay, just drive down the freeway doing this, right?
You have any idea how come? You have any idea how come? Because it does work that way.
The article, I think it has to do with, our, with the two hemispheres of the brain. Yeah. Yeah. The left nostril is connected to the right hemisphere. Yeah. It's still speculation at this point, but it actually is a true thing. Okay, next. Sleep. Okay, next one. Okay, we're going to talk about what happens in chronic sleep deprivation and what good restorative sleep does and how we can improve it. So next one. Okay, this is the best graphic I could find. I could go on and on and on about the horrible things that happen when you don't get good enough sleep. Cognitive impairment, memory loss, impaired moral judgment, severe yawning, of course, hallucinations. I once, when I was in college, I was taking a physics class and I was really scared. We were studying diffraction gratings or something, so I pulled an all-nighter. And the next day I started hallucinating. And I never did that again. ADHD, of course, you can't think very well, you're scattered. Poor immune system functions, risk of diabetes, irregular heart rate, risk of heart disease, all kinds of this, risk of obesity. Good sleep is correlated with weight loss as well. So getting enough sleep is an important thing to do. Next one. Good result, good sleep. You get enhanced immune function and disease resistance, increased energy and strength, improved weight loss and blood glucose regulation. Isn't that interesting? Why would you think those would be related? Upgraded coordination and flexibility and boosted hormone levels. Next one. Also, good sleep increases focus and creativity, enhances your memory and ability to learn complex skills, improves emotion, look at this third one, improves emotion regulation so you can keep your cool under stress. Balances your autonomic nervous system, hormones, and immune system. So again, we have these factors interacting that if we get enough sleep, we improve our stress response. And if we improve our stress response, it's going to help our sleep. So next one. Okay, so these I looked up, guess what? I Googled this. This is from AI. Many of these but they're really important. First of all, is establish a regular sleep schedule, whatever works for your chronotype. I'm a morning person. I didn't used to be, but this is my bedtime right now, where we are. I'm in bed usually by now, and usually up by about 5. But I have a good friend whose sleep schedule, if she doesn't get to bed by 6 or 7 in the evening, and she's up by 2 or 3. And then I have another friend who does the best when he goes to bed at 3. And so we are different that way. We can train it a bit. And for me, in terms of my own sleep problems,
having this relaxing bedtime routine. This is where your self-care and mindfulness come in. What do you like to do? You don't just like watch TV or watch videos and then it's time for bed, you go in there. It's like, I light candles in my bathroom and I take a long hot shower and I get kind of fancy frou-frou stuff to put on my skin. And I just, take my time. With that whole, and if I don't do that ritual, I don't sleep as well. Because we condition ourselves, we can condition ourselves. And so take your time, find something that you like to do. You may be a morning shower, but maybe you can, read, find a comfy place to read, make sure, and the next one, make sure your sleep environment is good. It's like, I love my bed, right? If you don't love your bed, find one you can love, and the pillows and the blankets and the environment. I have a lamp beside my bed that's really pretty and has like flowers for the lampshade and just all of this stuff. Though of course don't have your stimulants, don't drink. I used to be able to drink coffee and go to bed. I can't anymore. I have to have my latest caffeine has to be 11 o'clock in the morning. And for some people, maybe not at all, if you're sensitive to caffeine. Regular exercise really works. Managing your stress, right? Sunlight seems to help, especially at certain times of day. So getting out in the morning, in our wonderful Oregon winter morning sunlight, but getting outside and avoiding napping. Anybody else have any that they can add to that? I would add green smoothies.
You stop drinking. I heard you say you stopped eating when the but what about drinking?
I don't worry about drinking water. I mean, I try not to drink too late because I gotta get up and pee.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
At the stage of life when.
Yeah,
you do
right.
that,
Yeah.
then that does interrupt sleep.
Yeah, so if you're, hydration is really important, like the doctor that I follow that teaches me about the green smoothie says to drink a gallon of water a day. I cannot do that. But if I'm really hydrating myself, I need to kind of stop drinking by 3 as well. Yeah.
3. 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah. I'm just done for the day then, I got other things to do. Because if I've drunk half a gallon of water by then, you're not thirsty anymore. So, and avoid alcohol. That alcohol can make you go to sleep easier, but it will disrupt your sleep cycle. Yeah,
Avoid your bed.
what?
Avoid the bed unless you're sleeping.
Oh, yes, avoid the bed unless you're sleeping.
Mhm.
Again, we're kind of like rats. We condition ourselves that the bed is for sleeping. That's all it's for. And for me, reading. It's sleep, yeah.
Yeah, I for sure have no television in my bedroom.
Mhm.
I learned that I have to have it cool, that's just.
Yes. Mhm.
And then I have also a noise cancelling machine because there were certain noises that I knew woke me up. So I put that and that doesn't wake me up anymore, but I still do wake up after a certain.
Yeah, we still have our sleep cycles,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yes, having a cool room. That's why I take a hot shower. We go to sleep when we're cooling down. So I have a hot shower, I have a cold room. The only time I don't open my bedroom window is when it's below probably 25 degrees. But tonight my bedroom window is gonna be open because I'm in a cold room. And so that really helps having the coolness, having a white noise machine, so that constant. Then the small noises don't tend to wake you up. Those are good ones, yeah. But when you do wake up in the middle of the night, same kind of techniques that you use for stress reduction. Don't go into, oh my God, I'm not gonna go back to sleep now, this is really awful. Okay, because you won't. I guarantee you won't. But it's like, okay. And there is some theorizing that that's just not unusual. That in the medieval times, I think I read a story that people woke up at 3 regularly and that was their time to pray. So you wake up at 3, maybe you go back to sleep, maybe you won't, but don't worry about it.
Because the more you go into that stress response, the less you are likely to go back to sleep.
Well, it's hard to do if you have to perform in the day.
It's very hard,
You have to
yes.
get up at a certain time. That became much better for me when I started to retire.
Yes.
Because I didn't have that pressure.
Yeah, because you can lie there at 3 o'clock in the morning. I've got an 8 o'clock lecture class to give, and you know, that's hard, it's harder, yeah. But even then, it's like, so I go to lecture with only 3 hours of sleep. I don't die. I don't think. Yeah, okay, next time. Okay, and here's what you eat. All right, whole foods. I favor all the stuff that Charlie and Scott talk about. Tryptophan-rich foods, nuts and seeds, which gives you tryptophan. It's not just in turkey. In fact, I don't think turkey is all that great a source of tryptophan, actually. But nuts and seeds like your chia and flax seeds. Oh, that's the other thing I put in my smoothies. Is I actually use flax oil. Because if you use chia and flax, it gets kind of thick. So I use 3 tablespoons of flax oil in my smoothies. Magnesium and calcium. I have a friend who has a lot of trouble sleeping, who's recently discovered magnesium. You can get all of these, you can get supplements, you know, for sleep. They're just magnesium. It can't hurt. To try magnesium, leafy greens and nuts, B vitamins, and complex carbohydrates. So again, it's the same list of foods that are going to help sleep. With the exception here, let's pay attention to magnesium and to your nuts and seeds and omega-3s. Okay, next one. Okay, another moment. This is Milo, who is Romeo. Romeo was the guy you saw first. Milo is Romeo's brother. And they were rescued from veal crates when they were babies. And they were actually raised in the kitchen of the woman who owns the farm. So these big things, they are huge. And Milo wasn't feeling well that day. So again, this whole thing about calm down. I don't know about the box breathing. Again, it's like the alternate nostril one. I would do 4. I'd inhale 4 and exhale 6. Or inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6, hold out 6. To make that exhale a little bit longer, that's much more calming than just the box breath. And I like how it said in the video, you can prove it to yourself. You can take a deep breath and exhale slowly, and you can feel that response kicking in. Our heart rates actually slow down on the exhale. So I was doing some slow breathing with Milo that day. Okay, next one. Oh, this is Thanksgiving at the farm. I just stuck this in there because it's going to be Thanksgiving this week. This is my Thanksgiving these days. Is we set a table and we get all the other animals out and the turkeys come in. The one right here in the front on the left is Johnny Rose. And I thought it was karma there. He ate an entire bowl of cranberries. You could not get him away from the cranberries. And somebody cooked some pumpkin that year, and it was really great. It's just the best way to spend Thanksgiving. Okay, next one. Okay, now connections. And it's not just social connections, self, others, nature. Next one. Okay, so key benefits of social connection. Again, reduces the risk of mental illness. All these studies have shown that people with strong social connections have lower rates of anxiety and depression. It boosts happiness. They help manage stress. Again, here we have the stress. Now we're putting together stress and social connection. Promotes a sense of belonging, and it fosters personal growth. So all of these have been shown in a number of studies that social connections are good for you. Okay, next one. Again, helps you maintain a healthy weight. Unless all your friends are fat. Have you seen those studies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that we tend to regulate our weight with the people around us to a certain degree.
that if you're hanging out with a bunch of bigger people, you tend to be bigger. Who knows what's cause and what's effect, but it's interesting. But just having those social connections, probably, it keeps you busier if you're having social connections. You're not just sitting around isolated eating food. Having social connections helps your blood sugars. Improves cancer survival. That's been shown many times.
And also the right social connection, because otherwise it is not so good for you.
Yeah. Improves social, cancer survival, heart disease deaths, decreases depression, improves PTSD, and improves overall mental health. Probably one of the reasons that talk therapy works, because one of the things, if you're in therapy, which I recommend, by the way, I did it for 40 years, and it can be really helpful. There's no reason to avoid therapy, but it just improves because you have somebody you're interacting, somebody who cares about. That makes so much difference. Okay, next one. Okay, so isolation increases depression. And so positive social interactions improve mood and stress management, improves resilience. Quality matters more than quantity. I live in a family of introverts. We don't have many friends. And my daughter will sometimes say to me, but is that normal? It doesn't matter. Some people want to have 50 friends, and some people it's like one will do. But the important thing is the quality. Is this a person, your connection, somebody you can be honest with, somebody you feel safe with, somebody that you can open up to? That's the most important thing. And one will do, but maybe you're an extrovert and you want 20. That's fine too. But we live in a pretty much an extroverted culture. And it's best to have direct contact rather than just emails or texts. Some sort of FaceTime or in person. Next one. Oh, I gotta talk about the rabbits and how social connection and kindness can really affect us in very physical ways. Some of you have heard this one, but I think it's a great experiment done with the bunnies who were being they were being fed diets, high cholesterol diets, terrible diets, because they were studying the effect of high cholesterol on the poor little bunnies' arteries. And they got high cholesterol and they got damage to their blood vessels, because that's high cholesterol, probably coconut oil, was bad for bunnies, right? Except for the experimenters had this thing happen that was they couldn't figure out. They got the damage, all the bunnies got high cholesterol, but only half of them got the damage to the blood vessels. And they're like, what's going on here? Why would only half of them? And they figured out that the bunnies were being fed by a lab assistant, and the bunnies were in 2 rows. Their cages were in 2 rows. One was kind of a high row and the other was this middle row. And what she did when she fed them is she reached up and feed the bunnies in the high row, but in the middle row, she would pick the bunnies up and cuddle them and put them back in. Those bunnies did not get the blood vessel damage. It's just this simple act of kindness and touch and holding that affects us physically. And I love that study because it does affect us physically. Okay, next one. Okay. Yeah, I want to go here to talking about connection with ourselves and connection with something beyond us. Back to the mindfulness. How do you connect with yourself? Pay attention. Are you talking to yourself in negative and critical ways? Or are you able to curb that and come in and know yourself? Come to that moment of presence. Just stop. Breathe. That's all. And then as you do this breath work, you do your yoga, which is, I recommend yoga as well. And just maybe someday, Scott, I should teach a yoga class. You all up for that? Yes. Love yoga. Because that yoga is about not whether you can do a down dog, but about coming to presence in your body and saying, oh, this is for my hamstrings. Okay, this is as far as I can go. Yeah. And just paying attention to that. And then
maybe, you get so you can do more, but so. Connecting with yourself, meditating. You can meditate. Go to YouTube. There's all kinds of apps. There's all kinds of videos you can use that are guided meditations. Or you can I have an app on my phone I've used for 10 to 15 years. It's called Insight Timer. And it times my meditation periods, and it's got all these talks you can listen to and guided meditations. Go on YouTube. Take time to just shut up. Be quiet. Turn the screens off. Listen to what's in here. Don't judge it, just be with it. And often when people start doing this, they say, I can't do that, I'm crazy inside. No, you're not. You just are not used to it. There's a lot of internal noise going on, and the more you can pay attention to it, the more it will calm down. Awe walks. I like the idea of an awe walk where you walk around the neighborhood. Oh, that is so cool. I heard a thing years ago where parents would ask the children when they went to bed at night, what did you notice today? Maybe you could ask yourself when you go to bed at night, what did I notice today? I noticed that the bug on my windshield. These things keep you present, they keep you grounded instead of running off at the head. And using those self-care routines. And then relationship with something else, whether it's nature, whether it's a higher power, and finding this sense of meaning and purpose in life. So you're connecting to a sense of meaning and purpose. And it can be knitting socks for people. It can be working at a farm sanctuary. It can be any number of things. I think I want the next one. I'm not sure. Try the next one. Yes. And deepening connection, reconnecting with life. That once we can develop this self-compassion, then that's if we're constantly criticizing ourselves, we're going to be constantly criticizing others. We can let go of that, become compassionate with ourselves. We can become more compassionate with other people. Also, the ability to feel your own pain loosens the grip of this inner critic. Because the inner critic is trying to distract us from we were hurt when we were kids. And just going in and feeling that hurt. That's all. It's not going to kill you. It's just going to feel like, oh, that was terrible when that happened. Let me be with that. I did something a few years ago that kind of surprised me. My father died when I was 16. And he died 2 weeks after my high school graduation. And it was very traumatic because my mom was pretty nuts. And I realized lots of years after that, I had never gotten a condolence card because I had graduated from high school. I didn't see those people again. I went on to college. So I wrote myself a condolence card. And that just really freed up something in me that hadn't been free before. So learning this self-compassion and feel that pain of that. And then connecting with yourself deepens the compassion and the ability to connect with others, the natural world, and animals. And I bring that in here because really important is that one of the things that's been most meaningful for me is working at this farm sanctuary and connecting with those animals in a way I have never been able to connect. I think I had another one. Yeah, next one. Okay, play this little video. Real short.
No, hold on.
Okay, I guess that's it then. Thank you. Yeah.
One of the things they found all the YouTube, blue velvet and YouTube that I've been watching. That before 1980, we had an average of 30 people, 3 friends that we could rely on and unload on. We had a family emergency or a lot of anger. We said no, we have one.
1.5, yeah, from 3 friends to 1.5. Our sense of community in this country is being, so we gotta work together to build that back.
Yeah.
Next week is cardiovascular disease with Dr. Wiesmeyer. She might haven't talked to her recently to see if she's bringing a colleague or two with her, but she was kind of trying to do it as a panel discussion, but we'll find out, come and find out. So well, it needs to be Dr. Wiesmeyer.
Everybody have a
Heart
good
disease.
Thanksgiving with no turkeys.
Yeah, have a good Thanksgiving.
Well,
Thank you. Mr. Governor.
You showed us how to invite turkeys to the table.
that's right.
Yeah, that's how that works. I should turkey at the table.
Yeah,
well.
Well, that's keep watching a movie or